समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
What can a Pakistani army chief do with a fifth star that he couldn't do with four? What can a Pakistani army chief, master of all his surveys, do as field marshal that he couldn't do as a mere general? It's tempting to say little more. This is just a bit more bling on his collar, cap, car, shoulder, and when he chooses on his pulpit a main battle tank. Remember, he was speaking to his troops from a main battle tank with 4 stars on the tank. Next time there will be 5 stars. That must be the question also assailing his mind, that now that I have the 5th star, what do I do with it? He knows that he can't have this 5th star and do nothing more with it. Should India worry? The short answer is yes. India must always worry about Pakistani army, and it does. Just that there is this added concern and urgency with this bizarre promotion from within the system, within the Pakistani system, or maybe from outside it, depending on where you place the Shehbaz Sharif government in this arrangement. What will you do with this 5th star? Only for the second time in Pakistan's and the subcontinent's history are 3 5 stars. Karyappa, Manik Shah and Arjun Singh were handed ceremonial batons. So this is only the second time that a serving soldier in the subcontinent has been given the Field Marshal's baton. It is a phenomenon so rare for modern militaries that today the only example in a country of some consequence would be Egypt's Abdel Fattah El-Sisi. Even the mighty Americans buried the exalted title with Marshal, Field Marshals Marshall, MacArthur, Eisenhower and Bradley, the greats of the Second World War. Munir would surely want to do something with this 5th star. I might suggest, this is mischievous, I might suggest taking a leaf out of Idi Amin's book and find some equivalent of his Conqueror of the British Empire, right? In fact, his title was Conqueror of the British Empire, but I know this isn't time to be funny. Firing a civilian government and taking over power would be so boring in Pakistan. He doesn't need to do that. All our politico-strategic analysis of Pakistan should henceforth be focused on this one central point. How will Field Marshal Asim Munir be different from General Asim Munir? What the general could do, we saw indicated in his speech to overseas Pakistanis on 16th April and in what followed in Pahalgam on 22nd, just within a week after that. The one promise in that speech he's yet to fulfill is making Pakistan a hard state. That's what he said. We have to become a hard state. Victory celebrations for propaganda apart, he knows his military has suffered a severe setback. Any yet unsubstantiated claims of downing Indian planes can please the population, please his followers for a while. These are yet unsubstantiated claims on his part, on his armed forces part. It is just that the pictures of the battered air bases, PAF air bases, each one of them east of the Indus, every air base east of the Indus got hit in this Indian counter. And the big Jaish Lashkar establishment reduced to rubble will endure. However much he thumps his chest, the additional jingle of that 5th star will not change those facts on the ground. He would want to do something soon to quote unquote make amends. In fact, he would need to do it because soon enough inflation will go up, soon enough economic realities will begin to bite, soon enough people will begin to get angry, and soon enough this artificial euphoria will go away. I would go so far as to wager that he will do something sooner than we might have imagined. In the past, in a phenomenon described earlier in a national interest as the Pakistan Army's 7-year itch, I will share with you links of both text and the video of that national interest. We said Pakistani army has a 7-year itch. So since 1999, we've seen generally every 6 or 7 years, on an average, the Pakistanis hit us somewhere with terrorism, and which draws a riposte or a response of some kind. Each major terror attack, therefore, and the Indian response bought us about 7 years of deterrence on an average, and relative peace, not full peace, relative peace. We will not get that kind of time now because Munir hasn't got that kind of time. When he will act, what he will do, we can war game, but we can't be sure. There's only one thing I can say with certainty. If you're looking at 6 or 7 years, I can tell you for sure where Munir will be. Politics, culture, and history of Pakistan indicate that he won't be in a good place. Before we get there, however, the awesome powers he has amassed, even as a 4-star, deserve a look. He already had at its feet the civilian government he conjured up to get elected. Hear the fawning words, the body language, and see if there's anything prime ministerial about the younger Sharif brother in the presence of a Sepah Salar, or commander-in-chief, as he was already addressing Munir even before his 5th star. Cheerleader, court jester, or a bit of both. Take your pick, doesn't matter. Munir has been speaking on all key issues already, including the promise of $1 trillion economy. It's currently just over $400 billion. He's locked up Imran Khan, the only leader to challenge the army's exalted power. This after he banned his party from contesting, Imran Khan's party from contesting. The fact that Munir's preferred parties, the coalition led by PML, including PPP, couldn't even win this one-horse race did not matter. He installed them nevertheless. The judiciary has caved in, especially as it conceded to the military courts the power to try civilians for some of the most serious offences, especially for treason. Now, a civilian is tried allegedly for treason in a military court. They can just throw a charge at anybody and take him to a military trial. What does it sound like? What kind of systems or countries does it sound like? He's already got his handmaiden parliament elected in an institutionally stolen election. I'm not saying rigged. This has been institutionally stolen. In an institutionally stolen election to rubber stamp amendments to mangle the constitution and give himself an extended tenure. This he had got already as a 4-star, I'm telling you. There are some collateral benefits by way of some job, etc. for the judges too. He's got it all sewn up. So what's next? See it from where the field marshal sits. If he looks 7 years ahead, he would dearly hope and pray that the statutory warning that we see on mutual fund advertising actually does apply in his case. Past performance is not a guarantee of future performance, because the past will tell him that every exalted army chief with political ambition has ended up badly. Disgraced in defeat, I'm giving you choices. Disgraced in defeat, prosecuted, exiled, even assassinated, and in some case 3 out of 4. Ayub, Yahya, Zia, Musharraf, the 4 generals who took power, make a straight line. They all ended up in disgrace. And one or more of the variants of these awful choices that I just mentioned to you. To stretch this, even Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, though a civilian, became a dictator and shared the same fate as well, assassinated by the guy who took over from him. In this case, assassinated judicially. Munir's 2 predecessors, Qamar Javed Bajwa and Raheel Sharif, were prudent in ultimately fading away, whatever power they exercised when in uniform. A Pakistani chief, the kind of power that Munir now has, no longer enjoys the luxury of thinking of retirement one day to play golf. That option out, Munir has the compulsion to do something with what the religious teacher in him might see as a God-given opportunity. There was a reason why God placed me here. There was a reason why God gave me this extra star, 5th star. So his logic could be, I'm guessing now, his logic could be, I seem to be the chosen one, and if so, what is it that I was chosen to do? There must be a higher calling. His rise is sui generis even for Pakistan. The country has given us a chief who the civilian government appointed defense and home minister simultaneously, Ayub in 1954, I think. Later, he was appointed the chief martial law administrator by the civilian government And he in turn fired the same civilian government to become president, and soon after, months later, just a few months later, anointed himself field marshal. Only in Pakistan, we have seen Yahya Khan, Ziaul Haq, and Pervez Musharraf as garden variety military rulers, all meeting one of these ends that we listed for you, one of these awful ends that we listed for you. Again, in some cases, combination of more than one. The last two also installed some kind of elected governments, that is Zia and Musharraf. The bonsai phenomenon, the bonsai democracy phenomenon was Pakistan's unique contribution to political science. And when the generals were not directly in power, they held it from outside. Again, that uniquely Pakistani phenomenon was called hybrid government. How would it describe what we have now? A field marshal with a captive government and his only likely challenger in jail. More than 3 decades back, I will share the story from India Today, issue of 15th May 1993. More than 3 decades back, 32, in fact, almost to date, 32 years back, when Nawaz Sharif was dismissed by the military establishment, he had said to me defiantly in an interview, "What kind of system is this? Adha titar, adha bater. Half a partridge, half a quail." When he returns with a majority next, he said he would make sure there is clarity. Either they, the army, should rule, or us, elected civilians, will rule. I wonder how he would describe what he sees now, self-exiled from politics in his own country, sitting in his home near Lahore. How would you see this? An army chief elevated to field marshal, most popular leader jailed for almost 2 years, a farcically elected civilian government? What do you make of it? Do you remember a character, an organism called duck-billed platypus from your class 5 biology class? The unique Australian organism, in fact, in the Tasmanian region of the Tasmanian coast of Australia, it's found. A unique Australian organism with characteristics of a mammal, bird, and reptile, and some of its own. This organism was used to make the case for evolution between species. So this is not Adha Titar Adha Bater. This is not half a partridge, half a quail. This is more like something truly unique and rare, like duck-billed platypus. I know you are laughing, but please don't. This isn't funny. This is what Field Marshal Munir is now presiding over. He cannot have it all and do nothing with it. The fifth star is as much of a burden on him as fake claims of victory. India had better be prepared. Munir hasn't got another 5 to 7 years. He could be back at our throats soon, even within the next 12 months.